Welcome.
Attention, please.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the No Comfort Zone podcast. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and live on purpose. Broadcasting to the world from Rockford, Illinois. This is your wake-up call.
Warning.
You are the solutions to all your problems. Stop thinking average. Become the hero version of yourself. Every day, every time, without fail, no exceptions. It all matters. You've entered the No Comfort Zone. It's time for a reality check.
Glad you're back. This is Dan with the No Comfort Zone podcast. Emotional control. I let my feelings and my emotions run and ruin my life for a very long time. And it wasn't until I actually learned a little bit about emotional control, and I think they call it emotional intelligence these days. It wasn't until I actually started to subscribe to the idea that there has to be a logical side to feelings and emotions. And what I mean by that is actually having the opportunity when a situation or a stimulus happens to me, instead of overreacting emotionally about the situation or reacting in a way, and just that's really what it comes down to, is just reacting, like going through the thought process of what's really going on here. And it wasn't until I realized with a lot of quiet time that these problems that I was having in my life, that these adverse things were happening, or these just bad situations that I was in, it wasn't until I actually logically started to look at things, I was able to kind of deconstruct what was going on. But more importantly, I started to see it as, you know what, it doesn't really have to be that bad, that my emotions were running rampant and I was living in this really negative emotional state constantly. Once I got a firm grip of what the problem was, become aware, what's the problem, identify, decide, and then take action. And that's where that all comes from. I was also having a hard time creating my ideal future. So because I was living in this past problems and dealing with the consequences, whether that be a health situation, financial situation, employment, relationship situation, whatever it was, the blueprint I created was basically created out of that need for me to become the ideal version of myself. And why do I say that is because initially I started to do something physical. And it wasn't until I did something physical and I got myself into a very positive physical state that I was able to identify some positive emotions. So that's why I did what I did. Now, there's people out there that can get themselves into an emotional high by meditating. I'm currently working on that. But for me, the biggest reality for me is that by doing something physical exercise, or by beating a comfort zone, like I said, the alarm clock, or putting the food down that I shouldn't eat, or not spending in a certain area, or being mindful, putting my cell phone down and being mindful of the people that are around me, focusing on work when I'm at work and being in the present. All those things are really difficult for me and they're very uncomfortable. But if I focus on them on a regular basis, what I end up doing is I get to this place where I can create an environment for growth. And by doing something physical and getting my endorphins up and changing my physical state, it does help me control my emotional state. So I'm better prepared throughout the day as far as the person that I want to come and create. So if that makes sense to you, that's why the blueprint is such a good idea. It just keeps you on track. In your mind, where do you want to go? Physically, in your mind, where do you want to go? What's the ideal version of yourself? Physically, where you're at in the moment. See, when you're running like I was running in place at high intensity, it's kind of hard to think about the future and it's kind of hard to deal with your past. So those physical challenges that I put myself through are to get myself dialed into the moment immediately, which then helps me when I'm done and I'm resting, and during that workout period or during that moment when I'm getting outside of my comfort zone, I can focus on the ideal version of myself. Now, this might sound a little esoteric or it might be a little out there, but when you start running in place and you're running in place to complete that transaction that you've agreed to, 20 minutes of running in place, you're focusing just on that. And then when you're done with that, then it's time for you to say, okay, now that I'm in this good state, now that I've worn myself down and I can't really fight myself anymore, if I knew I couldn't fail, what would I do? I do this first thing in the morning, right after a comfort zone, after I beat the alarm clock. I create my dream day. Then after I'm done exercising, then it's okay, if I knew I couldn't fail, what would I do? And what this does for me, it keeps me emotionally connected to my goals, but it also, I feel pretty great about it. because I'm starting to live in that moment, because I believe, I have faith it's going to happen. I believe that I'm going to be a better person at the end of this. And what's wonderful to me in the big picture of things is that I'm listening to more and more people, and more people who have been through this type of thing, or more people who work in this space are being drawn to me, whether it's social media marketing or whether it's just the way the universe is responding. I'm starting to understand at a much deeper level what the no comfort zone really is from an esoteric point of view, but also when I experienced my 60-day challenge and when I went through it and it was magical on the other side of it, all these people that are talking about it know to be true. So I haven't created anything, really anything new. I've just identified a path that's worked for so many people, and I've created my own path within that. And I really do hope that this serves you today, because life is nothing more than controlling your emotional state, having intention on where you want to go, setting a solid foundation of goals of what you're willing to do, what you're willing to give up, how you're going to get there, and then pursuing it and enjoying the ride. And that's what I'm hoping to do. And whatever that might be, whatever your intention is, it really comes down to enjoying it so you can live not on purpose, but you can live in your purpose. And I think that's the big message for today. So, try not to do anything stupid today, but if you do fail, don't let your emotions run wild on you. Don't let it ruin your day. Just get control of your emotions and realize, man, this was supposed to happen. You can't control the weather, you can't control the economy, and you can't control what other people think about you. The only thing that you can control is your emotions and your thoughts on where you want them to go and the person that you really want to be. So with that, let's get out of our comfort zone and live our own purpose.
Say goodbye.
Want more of the No Comfort Zone? You can follow Dan on Instagram and Twitter at NoComfortZone1.
Bye.
Or on the web at thenocomfortzone.com.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the No Comfort Zone podcast.
Bye-bye.